Alp Navruz erupts. 3 months under one roof, drops a bomb about Alina Bos. The interview everyone is dissecting has turned the internet upside down, and the sentence that keeps echoing, "I lived in the same house for 3 months," has reopened a chapter fans thought was closed. Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Before we plunge into today's story, don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. What we're about to unravel is the kind of thing that shifts the entire entertainment conversation in a single day. Alp Navruz sat down with a respected European magazine and tried to define something simple that somehow never is: love. Love is having someone you can share the same roof with for 3 months and still find a reason to smile every day, he said. Romantic? Yes. Innocent? Maybe. But in the hours after that line was published, the atmosphere online turned electric. Because Alp's life had just taken a sharp turn, a separation announced, hearts bruised, and old whispers stirred back to life. The question ricocheted through social feeds: who was Alp talking about? There was one name most couldn't ignore: Alina Bos. Their spark didn't need explaining, anyone who watched them work together could sense it. The rhythm of their conversations, the way their scenes came alive, the easy warmth that spilled from behind-the-scenes footage. It felt like a secret language shared by two people who understood each other better than they let on. Years passed, careers surged forward, and they kept their professionalism immaculate. But one phrase, precisely drawn and oddly specific, turned the clocks backward: 3 months in the same house. It was too vivid to be theoretical. It sounded like memory. Fans who had followed their journey from the early days remember it well. Long shooting schedules, night scenes melting into dawn, trailers turning into temporary living rooms. The way they waited for each other between takes. The way their smiles found each other's eyes. Fan accounts, armed with screenshots and sharp instincts, revived old timelines. Weren't they living close by then? Didn't they disappear from social media at the same time for a few weeks? It was all conjecture years ago. But when Alp's quote landed, those dusty threads were pulled out again and stitched into a new narrative, one that sounded painfully plausible. The timing made everything worse or better, depending on which side of the rumor mill you enjoy. The separation and the interview were like two waves crashing at once. Suddenly, people weren't just discussing a definition of love. They were revisiting moments from sets, analyzing body language, and asking whether the so-called hypothetical was a confession wrapped in poetry. 3 months is a detail you don't invent casually. It points somewhere. It points to a door that two people might once have opened together. Back during those buzzing days, their series set pulsed with rumors. Crew members described laughter spilling out from around corners. Clips circulated of Alina teasing Alp between takes, of Alp listening to Alina with his head slightly tilted, focused, soft. Those who adored them watched for the tiniest of clues: a shared jacket on a chilly night shoot, a look that lingered a moment too long, an inside joke that neither bothered to explain on camera. The duo never fanned the flames, and yet never quite extinguished them either. Professional, always; distant, never. You could feel it. So when Alp said, "It's love if, after 3 months of wake-ups and goodnights in the same place, you still have a reason to smile," many took it as a quiet admission not to a scandal, but to a chapter packed with secrets and tenderness. It was the specificity that did it. He didn't call love a fairy tale. He called it domestic: the dim kitchen light at dawn, the shared keys in a dish, the laughter that visits even when exhaustion rules the day. That's the kind of statement that points, not gestures. In the hours that followed, online detectives started revisiting periods when Alina and Alp were inseparable due to intense filming. Remember the 2-month block when they barely left set? Remember those late-night interviews when they finished each other's sentences? The archives filled up with moments: hands brushing against hands, eyes locking and then darting away with a smile, a coat placed around shoulders during a windy shoot. A rumor resurfaced too that during a particularly demanding stretch they were often under the same roof, out of convenience at first, until convenience slipped into comfort. It had been shrugged off as fan fiction once. But in the glow of this interview, it reappeared with unsettling clarity. The part that stung the most for many was the proximity of the breakup announcement. A sentence that felt like a souvenir from a private past appeared just as a present-day bond unraveled. People asked whether the truth finally broke free at the worst possible time, or whether the truth was the reason that timing arrived at all. It's a cruel trick when memory chooses its moment. And when it does, the internet does what it does best, it speculates. Meanwhile, social media moves became their own storyline. Photos disappeared. Captions shrank from full paragraphs to implied meanings. Unfollowing and refollowing sparked theories that could have filled a detective's notebook. Was this a break born of fatigue? Or a fracture widened by a history that never healed? Some close watchers swore that the rupture had begun long before the interview, that its publication simply made private turbulence impossible to ignore. The last straw, people said. The unintentional confession, others murmured. Alp stayed quiet. So did Alina. That silence didn't calm anything, it poured gasoline on it. In the world of celebrity gossip, a comment can refute, but silence can transform rumor into legend. Silence lets imagination become a storyteller. The absence of a denial is always misread as a nod. And whether that's fair or not, it kept the debate burning through the night. Then an older interview of Alina resurfaced. Not a declaration, never that, but a gentle acknowledgement of what happens when work becomes a meeting point for souls. There were people I laughed with so much while working, she'd said. Some periods in my life filled me in ways I didn't expect. It wasn't about names, it was about seasons that change you. But when placed next to Alp's quote, fans saw a puzzle piece clicking into place they'd always suspected existed. Soon, a tag was trending, Alp-Alina reunion. Romantic accounts sighed over the possibility that a sentence could reawaken something tender. Cynics rolled their eyes and called it a calculated echo. But even the skeptics had trouble with the precision of 3 months under the same roof. If this were PR, would the language risk feeling so intimate? Would it write with the texture of memory, keys, mornings, laughter, a roof, a smile you wait for without realizing? Of course, not everyone wanted to believe in a love story reborn. Some argued that Alp's career is international now, that he understands how a single well-phrased quote can ripple across borders and boost a brand. But if that were the mission, why lace the words with such personal geography? Why make them sound like a map to a time and place only 2 people could find? There was another theory too, one that felt more human than strategic. That the line slipped out of him like a sigh, unplanned, pulled from a part of the heart that never learned to stop speaking. Maybe he was trying to define love, and in the process he tripped over a memory and didn't catch himself in time. Love is like that sometimes. It isn't a thesis, it's a photograph your mind won't delete. You carry it, even when you think you've stored it away. International press caught the wave, translating Alp's words with the kind of attention usually reserved for premieres and awards. European outlets speculated that he was referring to a period when proximity stopped being logistics and became intimacy. Turkish media amplified those translations back home, and the loop intensified the noise. Gossips whispered, commentators analyzed, fans clipped old interviews to punctuate their threads. Around the same time, accounts said to be close to both actors posted messages that could be read in a dozen different ways. Closure is a gift, wrote one. Sometimes the heart keeps a room even after someone moves out, wrote another. Nothing was explicit, yet everything felt like it could be. Those who believe in fate called it a sign. Those who believe in self-preservation called it a farewell. Most just kept refreshing their feeds. Work, as always, offered an escape route. Alp's schedule became a wall he could hide behind, and Alina's calendar filled with projects that demanded full focus. But sometimes working harder only quiets the noise around you, not the echo inside you. If a bond was as luminous as people claim theirs once was, it can thread its way back into your life in unexpected ways. A scene. A song. A street you both know. And, apparently, a single sentence in a glossy magazine. In the end, what we have is a quote, a silence, and 1,000 interpretations. Maybe Alp was sharing a beautiful idea and nothing more. Maybe he was reaching backward without realizing it. Maybe 3 months in the same house is a touchstone only he and Alina truly understand. What is certain is how thoroughly that line has seized the spotlight. It's hard to manufacture the way a phrase lingers like this, hard to fake the way it tethers to memory with such stubbornness. No one knows what happens next. Alp may close this chapter for good. Alina may lock the door behind it. Or perhaps they'll both stumble upon the same memory at the same time and, just once, decide to knock. That's the seduction of a story like this, uncertainty dressed as possibility, timing masquerading as destiny. Whether they reunite or simply nod at each other from across a crowded room, that sentence will remain. A small, precise description that carried the weight of an entire history on its back. Because sometimes a line isn't just crafted, it's remembered. Sometimes what sounds like poetry is actually an address, written for two readers only. And sometimes a love that refused to be defined by headlines ends up being defined, unexpectedly, by one. Tell me what you think in the comments. When Alp said those words, did he mean Alina? Did he mean to say it at all? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a whisper. Your support means everything. See you in the next Whispers of Turkish Stars video.